Welcome to Get to the Hook. I am your co-host, Charles Latibaudiere.
And I'm your co-host, Eric Colley.
So we are going to get right to the hook, as we say in the title. This week we're coming to you, we're meeting you where you are right now, because there is no doubt that you are driving around, maybe you're doing some shopping, you're getting your last minute Christmas shopping done, and the one thing that's in your head is, all I want for Christmas is you. There's no doubt. You just can't escape it. It's just, everyone's used to it now, right? Like, you expect it, you turn on the radio, you're going to hear it, you're like, all right, cool, and you bop your head. But there's something about this song that I know, actually, because I've said it to a few people around the office, tell them what our episode is going to be this week. The episode is about All I Want for Christmas, and the fact that this is the 30th anniversary of that song. It seems like it's been here, not necessarily, well, I guess if you're really young, it has been
your whole life,
the song your entire life, and maybe you don't realize that it's actually a little bit older than people think. And there's a reason why it took this long for it to catch on.
There's a couple things that made the song what it is, and why Mariah was able to claim the title of Queen of Christmas, which she tried to trademark.
She did,
and they got denied on that.
But it's all right. The story that she was trying to trademark it for the public made it trademarked anyway.
Right.
And everyone acknowledges her as that now. So the hell with your trademark. She doesn't need it.
She's beyond trademarks. But yeah, so this is the story of the song and how Mariah became the undisputed Queen of Christmas. Who may be taking the title in years to come.
No.
Oh, it might happen. I mean, whoever thought Bing Crosby would give up the title?
That's true. Well, I mean, you had to wait until Bing Crosby was long dead and gone before.
Well, maybe that'll happen.
Maybe
long from now.
They'll have to pry it from Mariah's hands.
Right. So I know you know the song, but let's just play a little bit of it just to put it in your head, even though it's probably already there right now anyway. This is All I Want for Christmas Is You. Yeah, it came out in.
I'd never heard that song before. What is that? Is that a new one? I'm sorry.
One of Mariah's lost hits. It came out in 1994, the fall of that year, for her Merry Christmas album. And this is a weird thing for me with younger listeners.
1994.
Just that 94 was 30 years ago. You're still processing that, right?
Well, I was just trying to think where so much is. Anyway, okay, 1994.
It was the year after OJ. It was the year when Nicole Brown Simpson was killed that summer.
Exactly, that far back.
That far back. But younger people, I think, at this point, only know Mariah for that song and for Christmas.
Right.
She is the Christmas lady.
Right.
And, she posts those videos. She thaws out every October, November. She says, it's time. We all
November
know.
1st, it's time. She lets Halloween get its due, and then, then it's her turn.
But in context, in 1994, in the fall of 94, when that song came out, Mariah's first album came out in 1990. In that 4-year span, she had already racked up 8 #1 singles, several multi-platinum albums. She was one of, if not the most dominant pop stars of her day. I mean, Mariah owned the 90s the way the Beatles owned the 60s. It was just, she was cranking out #1 hits.
Right, and on that success, I'm sure someone at her label was like, time to do a Christmas album.
And remember, that person at her label was Tommy Mottola, who was her husband at that time.
Right.
And he was and he had her doing a lot of more adult contemporary kind of stuff, appealing to older audiences. If you listen to some of her earlier songs, I mean, there's definitely some bangers in there, but there's a lot of stuff designed for moms. So she made this Christmas album. And also, it seems weird now because every major artist tries to get in on the Christmas racket. And that's mostly because of Mariah, because it wasn't a cool thing to do in 1994 for a big pop star. The only people who did Christmas albums then were Kenny G, did his holiday album.
And by the way, those all sold
lots of copies.
But that's a different audience also.
It's a different audience.
Jazz, right.
Garth Brooks did some country records, but again, Christmas albums. But
it was largely seen as uncool because the standard bearer for Christmas albums at that point was still people like Bing Crosby.
Yeah,
right?
All the other Christmas songs that we
and maybe
Brenda
Elvis,
Lee,
Nat King Cole, just much older artists.
Even by that point, those songs were, 40, 50 years old, even older than All I Want for Christmas Is You is now. But so Mariah did it. The album was a success in 94, went triple platinum, and the song All I Want for Christmas Is You got to number 12 on the Airplay chart. It didn't chart on the Hot 100 because there was a rule at that time that you had to have a physical single to chart. I know.
The
I hate always having to explain that. 'Cause it
these
sounds so
Billboard
dumb.
rules, they change them more often.
I
Than,
know.
Like, it's
So at that
okay.
time, yeah, it couldn't chart on the Hot 100. If there had been an actual single that her fans could have bought, the song probably would have gone to #1 in '94. That's just how big she was at that
Right.
point. And then for the next couple years, in '95, '96 Christmas seasons, it got to number 35 on the airplay charts. So it still came back,
It's there.
but it wasn't as omnipresent as it is now.
But even that I think was just more a sign of Mariah's overall popularity.
Right.
So she's one of, like you said, one of the biggest pop stars in the world. So when Christmas comes around, stations are looking for something to play. Oh, we got a Mariah song. We'll play that. But it still wasn't the
It wasn't even the biggest
omnipresent.
Christmas song.
Right. It wasn't the song everybody.
And as the '90s and into the 2000s happened, the song kind of faded a little bit. It was never completely gone. It's always been a thing. But like you said, in relation to Mariah's career, she and Tommy Mottola got divorced, and he went out of his way to like ruin her career. He was like, "Nope, you are not going to be successful without me." She signed a deal with Virgin, and her big album for that was the Glitter soundtrack.
Not the
No.
Talk about getting off on the wrong foot.
The movie flopped. The album was released on September 11th, 2001.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. Like it was a bad time for Mariah Carey. People thought, well, she's done.
Yeah.
The '90s are over, and she's going with them. And the song kind of went with it too. In the early 2000s, it wasn't coming up that much. Then a couple things happened and started to get it to where it is now. The first one, in 2003, the movie Love Actually, which a lot of people love that movie, and it gets played every holiday season. There's a big climactic scene where these kids sing "All I Want for Christmas Is You."
I was gonna tell you when the clip that you picked that we played of "All I Want," I saw in my head the little kid drumming when he hits the little fill, and then I'm like,
how many times have you seen Love Actually?
More than I don't know.
You
maybe,
love it, okay?
Maybe
you love the
twice.
movie.
Maybe twice.
Oh, maybe twice.
Maybe
Just that scene happened to stick.
Yeah,
and I think maybe that like I said, the song certainly was not forgotten at that point, but I think that reminded people, like, I love that song. And that is part of the genius of it. And I'll play a snippet of another song here to kind of counterbalance these. But the thing about All I Want for Christmas Is You, and why I think maybe younger people think it's even older than it does not sound like a song from the mid-'90s. It sounds like a Phil Spector Christmas song from the '60s or maybe the '50s. It's got that bouncy, jumpy, Ronettes kind of thing. When it came out, it was a timeless sounding song. And a lot of people think it was like, oh, Mariah did her version of it.
Right.
No. Mariah Carey wrote that song.
She did that shit.
It was Mariah Carey
she wrote that.
And a guy named Walter Afanasieff. They wrote it together. They produced it together, which also means she gets 50% of the songwriting royalties there, 50% of the producing, all the artist royalties. It has been estimated over the years that Mariah makes about $2 million every year off that song, just in the holiday season. And since '94...
That's just the song itself?
Just that one song, not Mariah's whole career.
Right. No, but I mean...
Yeah, the song itself.
That's not even all the ancillary Christmas things that she's now making money off of.
It's the publishing off of it. So it's estimated the song's generated about $100 million in income in its lifetime. And Mariah's made about $60 million of that. Just from one song. And again, if you don't remember her as a giant pop star, she had 18 other #1 hits, more than anybody but the Beatles. So Mariah Carey's doing all right. But it is kind of like this timeless song, and she wrote it to sound that way. And that's why it works so well with older generations. It's bouncy and fun enough, because a lot of Christmas songs are kind of slower, somber, your Silent Nights and those kinds of things. This is a fun song.
Yeah.
When you're having fun at the holidays, it's a good song to put on.
I'm going to say something now that I realize as I'm thinking it. I shouldn't say this because it's poor producing on our part. I want to know who the music supervisor was on Love Actually.
I don't know.
Because that's the person I want to interview. Like, because the way the movie works is that they write a script. Maybe the person who wrote the script actually wrote that song into it, because the kid there's, like you said, the big Christmas play at the end, and they're all singing it. So somebody made the decision that was the song they were going to attach to it. And that person, whether it's the director, the writer, or the music supervisor for the film, plays a huge role in this song becoming
what it is,
having its second life.
And also they had the bright idea of having the kids perform it in the movie, which means Mariah gets her writing royalties, but not performance royalties, because they didn't use her version of it.
That's right. They didn't play her version.
They played
of it
the
all.
kids'
Right.
version. Yeah. But so I said it was a couple things. So in 2003, that movie comes out, and people are like, "Oh, that's right, I love this song."
Right.
And then a couple other things happen in the next few years. 2004 and 5, Mariah Carey comes out with her Emancipation of Mimi album, which had "We Belong Together," which was a massive, massive hit. So Mariah came back.
So now she's back.
So it's like,
Her
oh,
pop
we
star
like that
status is
song.
back.
Oh, we like Mariah Carey. Also, around that time, the iTunes store happened. So people didn't have to go hunt down a CD of Merry Christmas from 1994. You could just buy it. And in 2005, Christmas 2005, iTunes was still fairly new. Billboard had just started their digital sales chart. And All I Want for Christmas Is You hit #1 for the first time.
For 99 cents, you could go out
in
and you just buy the
2005.
song. And
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone did.
Right.
So there you go.
And then so it started selling a lot. And then people would just listen to those downloads. And then you got 2012. Another couple interesting things happened. Billboard starts allowing older songs to rechart if they make the top 50, because before that, an old song couldn't. So
Right.
even if it's #1 on
Right,
sales,
right.
it's not going to be on the chart again. But then they allow these old songs to chart, and streaming happens. So then it's not just people buying the song, it's now counting how many times they listen to it.
Right.
And it turns out people listen to this song a lot.
Right.
It actually
Right.
holds the record for the single day most streamed song in history. In 2023, just last Christmas season, on Christmas Day alone, one day, All I Want for Christmas Is You was streamed 24 million times on Spotify.
So just remember, you're not alone when you're when you're getting ready at your house for everyone to sit down for dinner, or you're opening gifts and you're playing that song. Yeah, there are several million other people doing
Millions
the
of
same
people. And you can watch then once it was allowed to rechart, oh, it made the top 40 for the first time, 15 years after it was released. And then, oh, it made the top 10. Then finally, Christmas 2019, the song hit #1 for the first time. And it has gone back to #1 every Christmas season since. As we are recording this, it is currently the #1 song in America for the 16th week, tying Mariah's all-time record, One Sweet Day with Boyz II Men.
Hold on. Here we go again with this. The
But it's not
16th
consecutive.
week because when you say that, people think you mean 16. And I was like, wait, it hasn't been #1.
Is it more impressive to be
It's like-
#1 for 16 weeks in a row, or to hit #1 over 16 weeks over the span of 5 years? That's
in the case
really
of
impressive.
this song, yes, it's impressive
Context.
because it's
I'll just context.
because it only because it has a hot season. Although I do hear people playing it in summer sometimes. just
Sometimes
like-
Christmas in July. You know
Yeah.
what? You just need to feel good, and that's what this song does. People hear it, and you feel good.
right.
And that's again a credit to Mariah as a writer and Walter Afanasieff. Because another song I wanted to play is from Christmas 1993. And like we said, a lot of artists didn't really do Christmas songs at that point. But next to Mariah, the other biggest act of that time did do a Christmas album and did get a hit.
And is tied to Mariah also.
And tied to Mariah. And I like this song, but it is very much of its time. It's an early 90s R&B song. This is Boyz II Men and their song Let It Snow. I love
the
it.
vocals are just pouring over you.
I
It's
know.
like someone. It's like that is the oral version of someone slowly pouring hot syrup over pancakes, just melting over you.
Oh, and it's so nice. And I will always die on the hill of 90s R&B, and I will always defend Boyz II Men. So I'm not, and that's a great song. I love that song, but it is very much a 90s R&B song. And
You're not going
it doesn't have
confuse
the
what era that
replay
is.
value that All I Want for Christmas Is You does. Because again, at 94, she could have had, New Jack beats on it or whatever, like some slinky hip hop beats or a
Right.
rap break or something, put Snoop Dogg on it. And it would have
No.
been a terrible idea.
But they decided to make it, like you said, timeless. And you're right. Like the Boyz II Men track, you're going to play that if you are. Everyone has that moment where you go like, all right, I'm putting on a playlist. I want
Sexy Christmas?
sexy Christmas, soulful Christmas.
Yeah.
You want something like that. But if you're just putting on, there's another playlist you can do just Christmas hits.
Yeah.
Then you're going to get Mariah.
Right.
So it's more.
Universal, I think.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of it's definitely a pop song. So it's got kind of an R&B vibe to it. It's got so many elements to it. My favorite thing about All I Want for Christmas Is You, and why I never get tired of hearing it, is the backing vocals.
Yes.
That little
That's
part.
the easy.
I
By
listen
the
to
way,
it.
that's the easy part to sing. 'Cause
Oh yeah,
You
And
can't.
I still didn't
sing-
even do it well. But,
You can't sing like Mariah, but you can get away with doing the backup.
But yeah, but that it's such its own little earworm that I will listen to that whole song waiting for those little parts when they come in. And credit to the backing vocalists, one of whom actually had a really good career. Melanie Daniels, Sean Ray Price, and Sean Ray's sister, Kelly Price.
Oh.
Kelly Price in
Kelly
'98
Price.
had a hit called Friend of Mine, and she sang, she was featured on Whitney Houston's Heartbreak Hotel.
Mhm, yeah.
So Kelly Price sang
Kelly
with
Price
Whitney
has had-
Houston and Mariah Carey. You got to have chops to sing with those two.
Right.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Kelly
Yeah.
Price. See, I've learned every year. I learned something more about this song
Yeah, that's right.
that I did not know.
New nuggets. And, once the song started to become what it is now, like after the iTunes and all that in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and, Mariah's pop career slowed down at that point. Her last top 10 hit, not counting All I Want for Christmas Is You, was Obsessed in 2009. So she was starting to, and she was almost 20 years into her career at that point. And no pop career, we've said it before, they don't last forever. She started to really embrace this. Started calling herself the Queen of Christmas. She re-recorded the song multiple times, her own versions of it. She did duets with Justin Bieber, with Michael Bublé. She kept the song out. She's like, you know what? People like it.
Yep.
It's getting bigger every year. I'm going to push it. She's now started doing her Mariah holiday tours. It used to be a one-off show, and now she just...
Now she goes on tour every year.
Yeah, and she does her It's Time videos.
And
literally, they thaw her out.
If you're gonna go ask for a trademark on Queen of Christmas, even if they don't give it to you, you better go live that life, right?
Yeah.
You got to be about that life if you say that you want a trademark on it, and she's doing it now.
And that is something else for her. A lot of the other artists who have Christmas hits every year, like Brenda Lee now, who's still alive and still promoting Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, and even the artists who died, if you look at their catalogs, most of them, the Christmas songs are a weird blip. Like, we might only know them for Christmas music now, but they, like Mariah, like Bing Crosby, they did lots of other music.
Sure.
And
Elvis
a lot of
Presley.
them, I'm sure, well, a lot of them are deceased now, but for the ones who are still alive, I'm sure they love those royalties every year. But they probably hated that maybe it sidelined their career. Mariah just jumped into it, embraced it, and she said in interviews that she always had terrible Christmases as a kid. They were always dysfunctional, but she loved Christmas, and so she wanted it. Like, she genuinely really loves Christmas, and I think people get that feeling from her and from the song.
Yeah.
She's made a children's book out of the song, then made an animated film based on the children's book, based on the song. She is quadrupled down on All I Want for Christmas Is You.
It is brilliant. It is Kardashian level marketing.
It is.
And it's absolute brilliance. And I was going to ask, is Mariah in the Songwriters Hall of Fame?
She, like a year or two ago, she got in.
She got in. All right.
Like,
because
she is, but recently.
you could get in just on that song.
Just on that song.
And honestly, Mariah is one of those people, I know she has written some of her other hits, but
almost all of them.
She doesn't get credit. Like, people don't
people think of
her
Taylor
as a
Swift
songwriter.
as like a singer-songwriter.
Right.
There are people you think that of Mariah Carey's 19 number one singles, again, second only to the Beatles. They have 20. She has 19. She wrote or co-wrote 18 of them. The only one she didn't write was when she covered the Jackson 5's I'll Be There.
Right.
So she did one cover that went to number one. Otherwise, she wrote all of them.
She doesn't get credit as,
She really doesn't.
She really doesn't. And you got to hand it to her. But
so the song has trudged along. In December of this year, just very recently, it was certified 16 times platinum. It's the first holiday song ever to reach 1 billion streams, and it's about to hit 2 billion, probably in the next year or two. Like I said, it's cumulative weeks at number one, if not this year. Probably by the end of next year, it will be the longest running number one song of all time. And it will just keep adding to that. Eventually, it will just be the number one song of all time.
yeah, I mean, it very well might be because it gets played so much. It's not a shock anymore when we come around to this time of year. You know you're going to hear it, and yet everybody keeps playing it. It's because of what you said. It just makes you happy. For that 2 minutes and 20, what is it? I don't know how long.
Yeah, it's not a very long song.
It's not very long, and it doesn't need to be. You just feel happy. And then the song ends and you go back to being pissed because you can't find a parking spot in the mall. And why do I have to go
Why are you
buy
not just
this?
ordering online?
And why
are you driving to a mall?
Why didn't I just order this online?
Jeez, Grandpa.
You go back to all those things, but when it's songs playing, it just makes you happy.
It is. It's a happy song. And it probably will be eventually the biggest song of all time. But to that point, in the old physical era, when you had to actually buy a physical single, the best-selling song ever was Bing Crosby's White Christmas.
Which
also makes sense.
Which, by the way, I'm sure...
It still goes top 20 every year.
I'm sure when Mariah Inc. sat down to decide that she was going to lean into this, that's something they presented on the PowerPoint. It's like, you know what the best-selling song of all time was before Mariah? Here, Bing Crosby, White Christmas. Do you want to be bigger than that? Here's how we do it.
And so many people try. It's weird to me that Taylor Swift's song Christmas Tree Farm came out a few years ago. It gets a little play every year, but it's not really caught on the way you would think a Taylor Swift Christmas song would.
In about 15 years, it needs a movie.
Oh, yeah,
it needs
that's
a
true.
movie to lean into it.
Didn't she make, or she was going to make a movie based on it? I think I remember hearing that.
I missed it if she did.
Our resident Swiftie told me that once, but I'm not sure. But there are some new songs that are gaining a little bit on Mariah. I mean, they're still far behind, but in 15, 20 years. And we've seen big names. We've seen Taylor Swift. Justin Bieber did his song Mistletoe, which, again, gets some play every year.
Yeah.
But it's not that. There are two songs in particular from the last 10, 15 years.
One of them has got to be Ariana.
Yes. There are two songs that really catch up. And one of them very clearly was inspired by Mariah Carey. When you listen to it, you're like, oh, I see what you've done. But I don't hate on it because it's a great song. Both of these songs in recent years have reached number 11.
Ooh, I know.
They're so close to the top
one is
10.
also now.
I bet you do. We'll just do
the one that definitely leans into Mariah's song.
It's like, hey, what if I take that old 60s Phil Spector, bouncy, fun, timeless kind of sound and do it on a new song, kind of like All I Want for Christmas Is You. And it's worked. This song every year gets bigger and bigger. This is Kelly Clarkson's Underneath the Tree.
Nailed it. Yep.
And then you said Ariana.
That's
the other one, a little bit more contemporary sounding, but still bouncy, fun, old school throwback vibes. Ariana Grande, this is Santa Tell Me.
Santa, tell me if you're really there. Don't make me fall in love again if you won't be here next
A little vague whiff of like a trap production to that song, but not enough to really get people
alienate.
Attention. Yeah,
not enough to alienate older people,
but enough to sound current to younger listeners.
It's enough of bass
Just
there
enough.
so that young people will be into it, and not so much that old people are like, "Oh, turn it down."
Yeah,
right.
And so actually, this year I was just reading that between last year and this year, the streaming numbers for All I Want for Christmas Is You, they're still massive. They've declined a little bit. And last year we saw Brenda Lee actually dethroned Mariah for 3 weeks at number one. You know, everything has its run.
Yes,
and not
absolutely.
like All I Want for Christmas Is You. Within any of our lifetimes, that song will not go away.
Correct. It's never going to go
outlive
away.
all of us.
But I am curious that at the end of my lifetime, will someone have dethroned Mariah? Will it take that long?
I mean, it took Mariah to dethrone Bing Crosby. That song came out in 1942 and was big for 50 years. So who knows? But it could be Kelly and Ariana.
I mean,
maybe it could be
I don't have 50
new.
plus years left, so
yeah,
so
it's Mariah for the rest of our life. That's all we get. But I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with that.
There are worse songs it could have been.
I can definitely live with that and die with it, apparently.
The thing, Mariah hasn't released an album in years. I think Caution was her last album. I forget how long ago that was. Like, she's settled into just being Christmas. But I'd like to see her do a new album. And I mean, it's not going to be as big as her 90s stuff was, just because that's just sadly not how it works for artists over 50.
I would like for her to do an album of just songs that she wants to do. Yeah. Right? Maybe they're all covers.
She wants to do is just make money off of Christmas.
But maybe they're just covers. She doesn't need to do it.
No, she doesn't need to do anything.
She doesn't need to do it for charts. Just do songs that you want to do. And
her legacy is set.
Yeah.
I would, just as a chart watcher, I would love to see her get another number one just to tie the Beatles.
Yeah. It's always...
when you're that close.
When you fall that close.
When you're
it's like,
that close. Because even like Rihanna got up to, I think, 14 and then stopped releasing music. Drake is at 13. Taylor's at 12. They're close, but they're still fairly far behind.
I want to tell you what Mariah really should do is write another Christmas song.
She has. She's done it so many times.
Yeah, actually, she has that in a whole album.
She did Merry Christmas to You, a sequel album. And it just, nothing's
the
ever
problem
top
is
All I
they
Want for
can't,
Christmas.
exactly. It's like you can't do that genre.
I mean, name another song on the Merry Christmas album.
Why you gotta shame me?
I'm just saying.
Eric. I mean, what is holiday season? This is what? Thanks. Okay.
Yeah. But you don't need it.
coal.
When you got a song that big, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You are set.
She's set. We're all set. We're all gonna play it.
It's
We're
her
all gonna
Christmas
smile.
world, and we just live in it.
Exactly. Shake up the snow globe. We're all in it when that song is on, and it's and we're happy to be there.
That's right.
Thank you, Mariah, the Queen.
The
bow
Queen.
To the Queen of Christmas.
Yeah, I love her. The Queens are her and Brenda Lee.
I know.
The two of them feuding last year. Brenda Lee's like 86, I think, or something like that, like mid to late 80s.
Someone's explaining to Brenda Lee what beef is.
She just posted a
apparently you
video.
have Christmas beef, Brenda. What?
Brenda Lee just posted like a TikTok video of her in Target buying a vinyl copy of her album. I'm like, you know what? I love she's still playing the game.
Yeah.
Because why not? And Mariah sent her a bouquet
The fact
last
that
year.
the fact that you still can it, that just goes to show the brilliance of your song. So
It's true.
kudos to the princess of Christmas, Brenda Lee.
That's right. That's right.
Merry Christmas is what we're trying to say.
Yeah,
Everyone,
to
listen.
everybody.
Indeed. That is going to do it for us. Have a wonderful holiday with your family, hopefully, or friends, whatever you're doing. And we will see you next time.